NECRONOMICON Stories, Episode 1, The Book Behind the Glass. I'm Roger. I knew Larry Burns, the man who was basically responsible for discovering and publishing the Necronomicon. Larry Burns, he ran a metaphysical bookstore in El Cajon, California in the early 90s. And I had a long history with the Necronomicon, having bought it when I was 16 years old, living back in Michigan. And I think God set it up this way because God has a very incredible sense of humor. But I was really involved in the Necronomicon when I was younger. Then when I moved out to California, I discovered this bookstore called Inner Journey Bookstore. And Larry Burns was the proprietor of that store. And my friends and I would go in there all the time. And, we were young. We were way younger than Larry, And so we would go in there and because my friend James and myself were heavily into the occult. So we would go there all the time and, buy various books and whatnot. And we'd go in there to talk to Larry too, because we liked him, Now Larry had told me that he is the one that published the Necronomicon. There was another gentleman that was involved. It was like a partnership that they published this. So anyway, one day when we were in there, he had a counter, and it was a glass covered counter, and in under the glass was a third edition copy of the Necronomicon, and we just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And so one time I asked Larry, I said, can I see that? And so he took it out from behind the glass and handed it to me. Oh, this thing was so impressive. This is the edition that had all the symbols in embossed on the book, in silver. It was really, really dramatic. You know what I mean? But so he handed me the Necronomicon. This was his copy of the Necronomicon, and which I would say is probably the most powerful physical copy of the Necronomicon that that was in existence, because it belonged to Larry. And so he handed me the Necronomicon, and I was like, wow. I was like, it was a fairly big book, hardcover, and I only had the soft cover when I was younger. So I'm looking through this book, and I opened it up to one page, and there is a picture stuck in the book. And I didn't get a real good look at the picture, but it was a picture. It looked like a young woman, maybe a teenage girl. I'm not sure. Could have been somebody in their early 20s or something. I don't know. I didn't get a good look at it. But she had black hair. And so when I came across that, I took the picture and I said, Larry, what is that? And he walked around the counter, took the book from me, took the picture and put it back in the same spot in the book. And he closed the book up and he said, "It's a containment spell." I don't know exactly what that is, but I can tell you that Larry Burns believed in the Necronomicon. I know a lot of people claim that the Necronomicon is a not legitimate occult material, but I can tell you that Larry did believe in the powers of the Necronomicon. And I'm going to do a series on my experiences with Larry and the Inner Journey bookstore. And I hope you'll follow me so that you can watch these. But anyway, that book was, it was amazing. But we would always go in there just to talk to Larry because he was he was like such an incredible character to talk to. Inner Journey, they always had a couple of psychics that worked there a few days a week, and I saw one of the psychics, and I'm going to do another video about that. But Larry told me a lot about the Necronomicon. Like I said, he absolutely believed in the powers of the Necronomicon. Larry actually, with a friend of his, discovered this manuscript in some kind of a I don't know what you would call it, but it was a place that had like unpublished manuscripts. And Larry discovered this, and Larry was in the publishing business. Larry Burns was in the publishing business, and then the other guy who is known as Simon. I have a feeling that I've met Simon as well, and I'll do an episode on that as well. But Inner Journey was an amazing place, and it burned down in around 1995. One day I walked, I drove there, and I walked up to the window, and the place was like badly burned. I'll talk about that later. But I remember my friend James saying to me, yeah, he's just got like a real bizarre sense of humor. And when I told him the Inner Journey burned down, he looked at me and he goes, "That Necronomicon behind the glass burned down." But you know what? Without saying too much, I believe that the Necronomicon that I looked at and held in my hands that was behind the glass in Inner Journey, I believe that book survived the fire. I won't tell you how I believe it survived the fire, but I strongly believe that book survived the fire and did not go up in flames. But anyway, that's it for this first episode. I hope you'll follow us, and I hope you will view our other videos and keep an eye out for more of these videos, because I'm going to do at least 10 of these videos. And if you have any questions about anything, leave them in the comment, and I'll see if I can try to do a video on that, and try to tell you some stories about Larry to bring him to life for you. Larry Burns was heavily into H.P. Lovecraft. Larry called himself Cosmo, just so you know. I don't know if he got that from like Seinfeld, or if he did this before Seinfeld. I think it was before Seinfeld that Larry was calling himself Cosmo, but everybody knew Larry as Cosmo. Like if he was talking to somebody on the phone and they were going to come into the store, he would say, "Come in and ask for Cosmo." So when I'm talking about Cosmo, I'm talking about Larry Burns. So I have a lot more to tell you about the Necronomicon, and I have a lot more to tell you about the El Cajon bookstore, Inner Journey. Inner Journey was in El Cajon on Main Street, down Main Street in El Cajon, and it was like in this little strip mall. And in 1994, I moved to this trailer park that was Like, I could hop the wall and go to Inner Journey, which was like a big deal to me. Um, but anyway, I have a lot more to tell you about the Necronomicon. I have a lot more to tell you about Larry Barnes, and I have a lot more to tell you about um, Inner Journey, the store that Larry ran. I believe he ran it with his wife, but I never saw her there. I saw his wife maybe one time, and that was it. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I know there's not a lot of substance to this first video, but we're going to get into a lot of stuff in this series. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you will continue to watch. Thank you. Bye-bye.